Captain DNA Lockhart is a pragmatic mineral surveyor used to chaos, mediating interspecies disputes and surviving hazardous asteroid lanes. Yet nothing in his record prepared him for the crystalline hall of the Athery, pearlescent beings whose eyes hold compressed nebulas and architecture that looks like crystallized light. He arrives under a terse summons, "Do not be late." The translator hums uselessly through the hall's acoustic perfection as massive crystalline doors groan open and Queen Psi enters with an authority that pulls gravity around her. The court holds its breath when a small child, Princess Lyria, barely waist-high, skin cycling colors faster than any database can parse, points at DNA and whispers, "Mom, that's him." The palace falls silent, a silence that could be execution or miracle. Lyria bolts, crashes into DNA's legs, and clings to him with fierce, tearful certainty. "Found you. You promised." DNA protests. He's never been to Ethar. He's a mineral surveyor 3 sectors away with logs to prove it. But the Queen halts guards. The royal scholar, old as starlight, produces a tablet and a hologram. The ship's black box records 2 timelines where DNA both was on mission and present in the palace. The scholar explains the phenomenon called a weaving, when reality fractures and time becomes fluid. In one thread, DNA stayed on his survey. In another, he answered a breach and saved the princess. When the timelines collapsed, physical form returned to the primary continuity, but memory of the alternate actions dropped into the void. Still, Lyria remembers. The princess insists that DNA is her asteriskin, a prophesied guardian who will protect the royal line from a coming shadow. In 10,000 years of history, the identification has never been wrong, and it has never chosen a human. DNA, bewildered and ethically rudderless, hears the prophecy and the child's conviction. He recognizes phrases she uses about stars and jokes about math that sound exactly like him. Faced with a wildly improbable destiny and a child who believes him more than he believes himself, DNA must make the first choice. Walk away or step into a promise he does not remember making. He kneels, promising to protect her, a small, human act whose consequences will stretch across timelines. Reassigned from lone surveyor to palace guardian, DNA's life reorients around ritual, protocol, and a peculiar child who already knows him better than he knows himself. The royal household moves him into the palace. He's dragged to the library by Lyria, where debates span quantum mechanics to cultural trivia, why humans eat pineapples, what laughter does to gravity, and slowly the narrator's humanity becomes part of the court's texture. Meanwhile, the royal scholar and DNA's ship AI, Providence, dig into the breach data. The holograms show the violent knot of 2 timelines weaving together and unraveling, and the conclusion is inescapable. DNA's body was in 2 places at once during the crisis. But the more urgent finding is the threat itself. 6 months earlier, a dimensional tear opened in the palace gardens. Creatures of hostile energy tried to manifest and were drawn to Lyria. When found, the child described being saved by a man from the sky who taught her to sing to survive. Against his protestations, DNA sees the pattern. His alternate self must have intervened in a way his waking memory cannot recall. Lyria's song matters. The entities, it turns out, fear harmonic resonance. Song is not metaphorical here, it's physics. Lyria's voice collapses, shrinks, and organizes energy into order. The scholar demonstrates wave charts and harmonic signatures. Her singing imposes structure on chaos. It is a tuning fork for reality. The palace's hope becomes a research problem. DNA's pragmatic instincts collide with the court's mythic certainty. He trains with the child, not with swords, but with frequencies. They practice resonance, precise tones that make the air hum with stability. DNA stands guard while Lyria learns to control the crystalline notes that hold the breach at bay. In quiet rooms, they exchange fractured jokes and shared math, small human anchors for a cosmic responsibility. But despite this progress, the danger is patient. The entities return in force. The palace's melodic defenses are untested in open collapse, and the court's faith must become action. The bond between guardian and child hardens from prophecy to practice, from a legalistic identification into a living, beating partnership that will be measured against entropy itself. The alarm that wakes the palace is not a drill. A tear rips the fabric of reality in Lyria's own bedchamber. Colors that shouldn't exist bleed through walls and jagged, shifting shapes of pure entropy begin to manifest. Instinct overwhelms debate. DNA bursts into the dissolving room and finds the child frozen. Everything he's learned from books and scholars collapses into a single imperative: protect. Muscle memory from the alternate timeline, acts he cannot remember, takes over. He throws himself between Lyria and the yawning void and commands her to sing. The moment crystallizes. Lyria's voice wavers, then finds footing. It isn't melody so much as structure, a crystalline frequency that slams into chaos like a physical barrier. The narrative cleverly redefines heroics, not blades but resonance, not shields but organized sound. DNA becomes an anchor, planting his feet, gritting his teeth against cold fire as the entropy lashes at him. The child's training manifests into weaponized music. A high trembling note cleaves the noise. Lyria hits the final harmonic that snaps the universe back into alignment. The breach collapses with a thunderclap, leaving the taste of ozone and a charged silence. The physical aftermath is small in scale but seismic emotionally. Dine slides down a wall, exhausted. Lyria buries her face in his shoulder, claiming him with tearful relief. The courtyard returns to peace, and the palace's singing pools hum contentedly, an auditory symbol of restored order. The scholars declare prophecy fulfilled. The guardian stood firm, and the shadow facing the throne was repelled. Yet DNA still does not remember the first rescue. The story underlines a compelling philosophical point. Memory is not the same as responsibility. The man who does not recall a promise honors it anyway. The act of standing, of choosing to be the anchor, matters more than the continuity of recollection. Lyria's transformation is clear. She is no longer merely a child. She has become a weaponized agent of order, capable of bending space-time via song. DNA's transformation is quieter but no less profound. From reluctant surveyor to chosen guardian who accepts obligations beyond his understanding. With the breach sealed and the palace calm, the court breathes, and life reshapes itself around new certainties. Lyria sits by a pool that dances to her humming, manipulating water into geometric patterns that mirror the mathematics she and DNA once debated. The scholars register her as more than a prophecy. She is a nascent queen with agency, a human-scale instrument that imposes order where chaos abides. Queen Sai stands beside DNA on a balcony and acknowledges the fulfilled prophecy. The guardian has changed the future simply by being present. DNA watches the child who knows him better than he knows himself, still lacking memory of that earlier version who rescued her, yet deeply moved. He offers the story's most human line. "I didn't change the future, Your Majesty. I just made sure she was around to write it herself." The line reframes destiny. Heroism is less about predestination and more about enabling others to fulfill their own agency. Practical consequences ripple through the palace and beyond. The Athery's ancient rituals and modern tech merge. Wave charts sit beside singing pools. The black box holograms of a weaving inform future policy about dimensional integrity. DNA's role is institutionalized but personal. He becomes both guardian and teacher, guiding Lyria in songs that tune reality while she evolves from princess to composer of futures. Thematically, the story celebrates humility, serendipity, and the quiet force of human choices. It also interrogates memory and identity. A self can be split across timelines, yet moral obligation persists in whatever continuity remains. For YouTube, this final section is perfect for a reflective outro. Highlight the emotional payoff, summarize the prophecy's fulfillment, and close with a hook that invites viewers to comment on promises they've kept without remembering why, or to imagine songs that could tune their own lives. Use the closing line as voiceover. Pair it with a slow pan over the singing pools and stars bleeding into twilight to leave viewers with both wonder and a human-centered moral.